Why Can't I Do It? By the Pony Captor Project. The buildings of Ponyville blurred in Scootaloo's vision as she sped by them. Whether this was because of her speed or the tears she was fighting back, she couldn't tell. She tried to keep to the back alleys and unused roads. There was no way she would be caught out in public crying. As the town eventually gave way to orchard trees, Scootaloo whipped a hoof across her eyes to clear her vision. The clubhouse wasn't far. Luckily for her, Sweetie Belle wouldn't be there. Applebloom. She might. The trees flew by as Scootaloo made her way to some place she felt at home. The summer heat was beginning to ebb, to Applebloom's great relief. The sky was bleeding red as what seemed like the hardest workday of her life came to a close. She leaned back against one of her family's orchard trees as she smiled in triumph. "Hey, Sugar Cube, thanks for helping out today," her elder sister said. "I know you wanted to be helping your pals, but I was falling pretty far behind." As Applejack used a rag to mop up some of her sweat from her face and neck, Applebloom's eyes closed peacefully as she replied, "Ah, please, Applejack, it was nothing. With Big Mac sick, some pony had to." Her voice trailed off. Applejack tilted her head, curious. "What is it?" she asked, as Applebloom continued to watch a flash of purple move through the trees. "It's, probably nothing," Applebloom responded, as she tiredly lifted herself to her feet. "Mind if I head to the clubhouse? The girls supposed to meet me there after they were done." Applejack nodded approvingly, and the little filly rushed to the clubhouse as fast as her worn-out legs could carry her. The clubhouse had changed since they had gotten their cutie marks. Pictures now lined the walls, added the detailed schedules and plans for each of the ponies they were helping. Many of the Crusaders' old knickknacks were still scattered around, and in the corner of the room, behind a balloon model of Rainbow Dash, was Scootaloo. Applebloom could tell, even from the doorway, that the filly was crying. The filly's lower hooves were curled up to her chest, and her forehooves rested on top of them, blocking the view of her face. The quiet sobs shook her shoulders. Quietly, Applebloom closed the door behind her. Scootaloo visibly stiffened as she realized that she was not alone. An eye peeked out from between her curled hooves. When she saw who was at the door, Scootaloo lowered her eyes again. However, Applebloom could see that her posture was relaxed somewhat. "Hey, Scoots." Scootaloo didn't move, so her words came out muffled. She, said something about helping Rarity at her shop. She was still clearly fighting back tears. Applebloom sat down next to Scootaloo and wrapped a hoof around her body. Her head tilted to rest on Scootaloo's shoulder as she closed her eyes. The athletic filly briefly tensed up, but relaxed in Applebloom's embrace. They were silent for several minutes as Applebloom let Scootaloo speak when she felt comfortable. Eventually, the older filly's eyes poked out from her hooves again. They were bloodshot as she met Applebloom's concerned gaze. "Why can't I do it?" came a weak whisper. Applebloom looked in confusion at her words. Before she could respond, Scootaloo continued. "Tracks. The colt me and Sweetie helped today is real cool. You'd like him." She leaned her head against Applebloom's. "He's gonna be a performer apparently. Ariel." She fell silent again, and Applebloom could feel Scootaloo's body begin to shake. She couldn't deal with this. The last time Scootaloo was upset over this, Applebloom had only made things worse. Her mouth opened and closed as she struggled to find the words she wanted to say. "Scootaloo? I know I haven't always been the most understanding about this, but..." Applebloom tried to calm herself. She'd be no use to Scootaloo if she couldn't think clearly. "Rainbow Dash was right. You don't need a fly to be amazing at..." "It's not that," Scootaloo interrupted. Even though it was a whisper, it silenced Applebloom completely. "I, had to explain to Trax why I couldn't just show him a routine. When he learned, he gave me this. Look, I'm so sick of being pitied for something I can't help. I just want to be like her, like Rainbow. Ponies looking up to because I'm great." Her voice was getting louder, angrier. "It never mattered how hard I worked at something or how good I get at what I do. To some ponies, I'm always that Pegasus who can't fly." She spat out. The quivering in Scootaloo's body was worse, but it wasn't tears anymore. It was frustration. Applebloom tightened her grip, hugging the Pegasus close. "Well, for whatever it's worth, that's not how I see you," she soothingly replied. Scootaloo sniffed, but said nothing. Applebloom reached over and lifted Scootaloo's face to meet hers. "Scoot, you're amazing. I don't even think I need to explain why. You're brave, adventurous," she winked, "not to mention adorable." Scootaloo found herself giggling a little in spite of herself. "Don't let that coat get to you. Some ponies do look at you like that. Yeah. None of the ones that know you, though. all the ponies that know you see you the way I do. It was Applebloom's turn to giggle. Well, maybe not exactly the way I do. Scootaloo blushed slightly as she leaned forward. Yeah, it might be a bit weird if every pony looked at me the way you are now. A hoof snaked around Applebloom's head. Get over here. Scootaloo pulled her friend in for a long kiss. This was far from their first, but it still felt just as nerve-wracking and wonderful to Applebloom even after all this time. Scootaloo's lips felt so soft against hers, and Applebloom held her filly friend's body to her own. When they parted, Scootaloo wiped some of the remaining tears off her cheek. I'm sorry you had to see me like this, Scootaloo lamented. Why? Came Applebloom's immediate response. I got a free kiss out of it. I ain't complaining. She yelped in mock pain as Scootaloo playfully tapped her shoulder. Deep down, Applebloom was relieved. She knew that this was far from over. The issue was a huge one, and Applebloom just wasn't sure how to deal with it. For now, though, those beautiful purple eyes were free of tears, and that was enough for her. Her hooves moved to Scootaloo's chest as she lightly pushed against the wall and leaned in for a kiss of her own. Applebloom, you up there? Granny says it's time to start making dinner, the elder sister's voice interrupted them. Applebloom giggled. Be right there, Applejack, she yelled back down. Turning to face Scootaloo again, she blushed a bit. Did you want to stay for dinner? I know Granny wouldn't mind. Scootaloo responded with a smile. Of course. I'd have to be crazy to say no to your family's cooking. The two of them rose and walked to the entry of the clubhouse. Down on the ground, Applejack saw them come out. Her heart melted when she saw them holding hooves. Oh, Scootaloo, you joining us too? The little filly nodded in response. Great, Applejack continued. It's always nice to have a member of the family over. With that, she turned around and started heading home. The walk to the house was a far distance, but Scootaloo barely noticed. Applebloom's hoof tightly gripped her own the whole way, and Scootaloo allowed herself to relax. Soon, the warmth of food and family would greet her. Alrighty then, something a little short this week. I may have had something else planned for the last days of LGBT month, but reasons, writer's block, what have you, but I'm really glad I kind of found this story. It was kind of new on FemFiction, sort of a last minute thing, but even though it's short, which is obviously convenient, it also kind of hit me a little bit. I think it kind of touches on an interesting issue with disabilities that isn't too often looked at. It is frustrating when someone finds out what you are, or how you're different. What matters is not how other people see you, but how the people who matter most to you see you. Okay, that was 2 words back to back, but but in any case, I do hope the story was worth your time, and happy LGBT month. I hope to have that original project I had in mind for this month originally soon, but until then, take care everyone.